Welcome back to Headliners. Let's get straight into it with the Mail and the latest gender madness from Scotland, Stephen.
Yeah, the children as young as 12 can now consent to puberty blockers, according to a Scottish watchdog. This is the Scottish Care Commission. There's obviously a lot more hurdles involved in it than just in a 12-year-old saying, yes, I would like it. But they are now a fundamental part of being able to make that decision, in stark contrast to what's happening in England. It's a hot potato.
Yeah, not just in England, in the rest of the world. I mean, it's crazy now that this is coming at a time where more and more evidence is coming out of the dangers of these puberty blockers, how they can lead to brittle bone syndrome, how they affect the brain's development. And when they sort of came out on the scene, everyone was like, oh yeah, puberty blockers, it doesn't really do anything, even though actually most of the people, 98% I think, went on to then take cross-sex hormones. But there's a safeguarding issue, so it's I wouldn't say it's hilarious, it's upsetting that the care inspectorate in Scotland is like the one place in the world that's actually going, oh yeah, and by the way, let's not factor in that they're 12 years old and whether they actually can make these decisions for themselves. This is what this inspectorate is actually saying. It's total madness.
It was disgusting. There's two things here. They said it says that a young person aged 12 and over is presumed to have sufficient capacity to make decisions about medical treatment. Absolute madness. The other part I thought was ridiculous. It says the advice written for staff working in child services also outlines that sex-segregated toilets are merely organised in such a way due to social convention. Well, if you want to go with that, everything's a social convention. Like, we don't just go in a hole in the ground because of social convention. I mean, that's an absurd argument, isn't it?
I mean, it's one of the best social conventions, not going in a hole in the ground, as far as I'm concerned, and society is better for it. It's an incredibly complicated...
Not really.
Would you let a 12-year-old get a tattoo?
12-year-olds aren't allowed to get tattoos.
Yes, and they're saying that these 12-year-olds are allowed to take
what they're trying to say,
going to affect them for the rest of their lives.
Yeah, well, they're saying that they can consent to it, but that doesn't mean they get it.
It does mean
they can't consent to it. They can't consent to changing their bodies irreversibly for the rest of their lives. Absolutely obscene.
Well, no, but they're not the only hurdle to that happening. That's what I mean.
I know, but
a 12-year-old can't go, I want it, and then it happens. What I'm saying is a 12-year-old can green light it if a care provider believes that is in their interest. They can green light it. That's the difference. The difference is that additional level of consent is now implied within the Scottish system that doesn't exist elsewhere. Well, but it doesn't mean that it will actually happen. I mean, that's what I'm saying. However, even that fact is considered a massive red light.
It's a massive red light when 9 out of 10 of these kids actually naturally grow out of the gender anyway. And the idea that it's gone up 9,000% about young girls, there's a huge amount of evidence that it's essentially a social contagion. So the idea that these 12-year-olds who are being sort of groomed online to think that they're actually the opposite sex and then now can give themselves permission to take this stuff that's going to mess them up for the rest of their lives. You've got all these detransitioners coming out all over the world now who went through this process. They've had their breasts chopped off and various other things, and now they're all starting to sue, and that's where we're going to start seeing the change.
Yeah.